The prologue to the film opens with a couple lying in bed. The lady tells her partner she can't believe he got this place for such a cheap price. The man says the owner probably has cameras everywhere, and he's watching them. He also thinks the owner is waiting to take their lives. Once the man goes to the shower, the lady watches television. On the screen, a figure puts on the mask of a demon. The episode or movie is called Demon Inferno. As the lady leaves the room, we see a pair of hands creeping out of the closet. Downstairs, she finds a note on the counter wishing her a happy birthday and not to drink too much. Soon she hears her partner scream, making her go back to check on him. In the washroom, she opens the shower curtain to see he's in very big trouble. Of course, screaming is her natural response. She backs away and a disguised person grabs her from behind before stabbing the lady to her demise. 6 months later, a car stops somewhere in the woods. A young woman rushes out of it to vomit. Her friend exits to tell her this is why they don't drink during the day. Later, they get back in the vehicle to continue their journey. The duo eventually drives to a cabin. A guy startles them near the window. He is Greg, informing them of their friend's arrival. The ladies leave their bags on the ground for him to carry. They enter the cabin and a woman named Addison rushes to hug them both. After her, a man does the same. When Greg walks in, he brings another guy who the others don't seem happy to see. But one of the ladies hugs him right away. He is Zach, prompting us to wonder what could be wrong with him. The lady who hugged him says this place looks haunted. The one named Megan says she would be more scared if a maniac was hiding under the bed. The next scene has a bloody woman running outside. The disguised person from earlier catches her, but we don't see what he does. Back in the cabin, Zach enters the room of the young lady named Iva. He asks her if they can talk. When he grabs her arm, she demands that he let go. What happened between them was a mistake, she adds. Furthermore, Iva yells she does not enjoy that he slept with everyone they met for a long time. Zach tells her he is sorry. He also says once she figures out what she needs, he will be there for her. He likes Iva and wants her to give him a chance. Outside, the man, Matt, asks Greg about what happened to Heather. Greg answers they broke up 2 months ago. He doesn't know why it happened, but he guesses he could have done more. He says Heather ran off with someone who had a motorcycle. He gets told that she kept him on a short leash. Angered, Greg asks why his friends didn't tell him this earlier. Zach says Greg allows women to control him. What he needs to do is control them instead. Zach says Heather was good in bed, and Greg asks him how he knows that. Their other friend claims Zach slept with everyone. Later, we see the gang partying inside. Iva asks Megan if she is okay. Megan wonders why she wouldn't be. She looks a little upset to Iva, who claims to care about her. Megan says it's hard to have everyone back together because it reminds her of the past. Soon they look at Greg sitting alone. Megan says he has a thing for the girl named Jasmine. Iva does not think Greg is her type. She thinks Jasmine is into other women instead. Megan says she is very happy to see Iva. Afterward, Jasmine approaches Greg to comb his hair with her hand. He is positively taken aback by it. Another man named Bert says everything there feels more free for him. Addison asks if what he truly feels is just his drunkenness. Moving along, we see a man lying deceased outside. A policewoman tells her superior that it looks like he's been deceased for a few days. She doesn't think an animal took his life. He looks like the others. The woman in charge says she does not want to create a panic. She still thinks it could have been done by a bear or a pack of wolves. We learn these kinds of incidents are happening in other areas as well. Following this, Bert walks into Zach's room and says the latter has been there all day. He guesses Zach has women problems. He also says they don't get everyone together all the time. Thus, Bert wants him to join them to have a good time. Zach agrees to it. In the next scene, the group of ladies talk among themselves. Iva asks the others if they ever wanted to take someone's life. She says they all have strange urges. Addison tells her they get weird, intimate urges. However, strange psycho urges are strictly reserved for Iva. Megan says she would do it to defend herself. This prompts Iva to ask her if she would like to take the life of the guy who cheated on Megan with her sister. Megan still says she would not, due to it being in the past. Besides, she has forgiven him. Then they ask Jasmine about her thoughts on Greg. She replies he is very sweet and slightly funny, but he's not her type. Addison says the reason for this is that no one has been her type since some boy from her 4th grade. Changing the topic, Addison asks if Matt has said anything to them, for he has been acting odd lately. He has been gone a lot, and he told her he's working. She thinks Matt is going to ask her to marry him. Being a pessimist, Iva proposes that Matt could be cheating on Addison. The others disagree. They tell Addison not to listen to Iva. Subsequently, a pizza delivery arrives at the front door. Jasmine comes out to collect the pizza. The delivery man says he had to walk up a big hill to deliver it, implying he wants to get tipped. So Jasmine gives him $1. Seeing the place, he says he wishes he had friends to have fun with. In a short time, Jasmine is forced to close the door on him because it's getting awkward. The man walks away, saying she was into him. As he complains to himself about being tipped a mere $1, the disguised assassin strikes him down from behind and beats him repeatedly. The figure takes the bloody $1 from the man's hand. Switching to only the guys, they are playing pool. Zach asks Matt if he asked Addison the big question. Greg remarks Matt is waiting to get her pregnant. Once Matt takes out a ring from his pocket, the others get taken aback. Matt says he is going to ask Addison to marry him this weekend, but Zach asks him if he's sure he wants to do this. Matt is sure. We learn he was with Addison during his youth. Since Zach keeps pressing him on this matter, Matt starts to get angry. Zach asks him if Matt sees him emptying his wallet for every lady he engages with. At this moment, Iva happens to be nearby. She calls Zach a pig and leaves. Matt lets him know he is finally being treated how he treats others. Bert tells Zach to take a walk for behaving badly. Later, we see Iva yelling at Zach. She can't believe she fell for his nonsense. She yells that she is done with his misogynistic ways. In return, he yells he was simply joking. Yet Iva says no one is laughing. He is pathetic to her. She yells for him to go sleep in his car and get out, because they deserve better. Thus Zach walks outside in the dark, drinking beer. While he relieves himself, the culprit approaches him from behind. The figure gives Zach a taste of steel. This allows the culprit to pull out Zach and wrap them around his neck. As they lie in bed together, Addison tells Matt he has been acting suspicious lately. She can tell he is up to something. He tells her he isn't. When she goes to the washroom, he takes out roses from a drawer. She applies makeup, and he practices asking her if she will marry him. Alas, the culprit is in the room, grabbing Matt from behind. We don't see how his life gets taken away. What we do see is how the culprit carves something into him. Upon leaving the restroom, Addison sees Matt lying lifelessly on the bed. On his forehead is the bloody carving, "I do." His eyeball lies nearby and Addison screams in fear. Soon the culprit appears behind her to cut the poor woman's neck. Tragically, the couple meet their horrific end, instead of getting a chance to spend married life together. Afterward, Bert exits the cabin to look for Zach. Walking out there, he encounters Zach's corpse. The culprit does not wait and surprises Kurt with a drill to his stomach. Another member of the group has lost his life. In the cabin, someone watches television. On it, a group of people find a symbol written on a stone. The scene changes to show one of the ladies running away from a maniac. He wears the demon mask and takes the lady's life with large scissors. He goes on to cut a man's neck with a machete. Another scene from this television program has a man talking to a young woman. She tells him to leave, but he doesn't listen. Therefore, she walks away instead. Left alone, he gets his hand severed by the mysterious wearer of the demon mask. A man with a crowbar ends up being the one to knock the maniac down. He removes the demon mask to see it was covering a skull all this time. Jumping out of the television, we see it is Greg who watches it. Jasmine joins him soon. He tells her the others have been gone for some time, since he hasn't searched for them. She tells him he couldn't be more useless. She says it in a friendly way though. Then he goes to the refrigerator, and the culprit is there to slam Greg's head into it before stabbing him in the eye. The visitors of this cabin are all dropping like flies. In the next scene, Iva throws darts with Megan. They hear creaking in the cabin, causing Megan to wonder what it is. Iva thinks it's nothing to worry about. Once Megan says Matt is going to ask Addison to marry him. Iva says she knows because she's seen the ring. Megan thinks the marriage is very good for them. Yet Iva thinks otherwise. She shares her thoughts about love by saying it's a scam. In some countries, marriage is a form of punishment, she adds. Iva channels her frustration onto Zach, telling Megan he is despicable. She claims to be done with men. Outside, Jasmine finds a lifeless Zach and panics. She rushes to the girls prior to sitting in fear with her back against the door. She informs them of what she saw. Afterward, she urges them to get out of the cabin. As Jasmine starts to go upstairs with Megan, the maniac appears to surprise Iva with her demise. The two survivors panic upon witnessing this brutality. They run to a glass door where the culprit waves the keys to them from behind. The survivors sit on the floor in fear, while the maniac walks around behind them. Megan yells out to Addison and Matt. Alas, no one can answer her anymore. Later, Megan sits with a knife in her hand. When a knock comes at the door, Jasmine stands up. Soon she sees a cell phone ringing behind the glass door. Opening it, Jasmine reaches for the phone. Supposedly, it was a trick set up by the culprit to slice her arm. This makes Jasmine fall back inside. She cries on the floor, and Megan helps by cauterizing her friend's wound with a hot iron. Of course, this brings even more pain. After Megan wraps up the injury, they sit together, tired. Megan does not know if she can do this anymore, but Jasmine says Megan is the strongest person she knows. There is no one she would rather be with now than her. Outside, our attention is brought to the policewoman we saw earlier. She radios the sheriff to say she is near a cabin in the woods where they found the deceased man. She heard screaming there, so she wants to check it out. She knocks on the door, which happens to open. This allows her to walk inside, and she opens a closet to find nothing there. We see the maniac approach her from the side, cutting the scene. Later, the survivors are about to enter that room. Seeing the policewoman lying there, they quickly change their minds. They return to the kitchen and leave the door to the outside open. It seems like they do it intentionally before they go their separate ways. Jasmine hides in the closet of one room. Once she ignites a lighter, we see the maniac is hiding there with her. The helmet finally gets removed, revealing it was a woman all along. She does something to Jasmine that we don't see. During the day, Jasmine wakes up, and the undisguised woman is beside her. Jasmine asks her who she is. The woman knew she was going to get asked that question. She yells she does not have an explanation. She also yells she is there due to it being fun. Jasmine calls her disgusting, opposing the restrained lady. The woman yells she is not. In her mind, Jasmine and her friends are the disgusting ones. The woman becomes hysterical. Soon she asks where Jasmine's little girlfriend is. Jasmine doesn't know what she's talking about, but the woman says her son does. This means there were both of them the entire time. Following this, we see Megan crawling out from under a bed with her knife. While the wicked woman sits on the couch, Jasmine sees her friend walking behind her. Megan grabs the woman by the hair and stabs her. As Megan frees Jasmine, they see the woman's son on the second floor, so they flee. He looks for the ladies outside where he collects an axe. Although Jasmine attacks him with a crowbar, he does not fall over. He pushes her down and is about to strike her. Thankfully, Megan strikes him from behind with the axe he dropped. Then she flips him over to keep beating him with the crowbar until she is covered with his blood. The poor girl lets out a lot of fury doing this. Jasmine goes back into the cabin to collect the car keys. When she does, she gives the bird to the evil woman lying on the couch. Everyone thought she was deceased, yet her hand slightly moved. Finally, the two survivors of this grisly happening get inside their car. In there, one of the maniacs surprises them in the backseat. Perhaps it could even be a third one. The film concludes with us speculating about what happens next.